Hi. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Ashley Fan, and today I will be discussing the Marburg virus for my disease report. So, what is Marburg? It's a very rare human disease, also known as Marburg hemorrhagic fever. It's a genetically unique zoonotic, otherwise meaning animal-borne, single-stranded RNA virus. It comes from the filovirus family, which is also the same as Ebola. The Marburg and Ebola virus are nearly identical. However, there are a few characteristics that set them apart, and I will discuss this in a later slide. The surface is covered with spikes, mainly consisted of large glycoproteins, as you can see in the bottom picture. These spikes are what binds the viron to the receptors of the host cell. It is an enveloped virus, and replication occurs in the cytoplasm. As for a quick history, it was first discovered in 1967 in the German cities of Marburg and Frankfurt, which is where the name of the virus came from. And it also appeared in Belgrade, Serbia. This initial outbreak was caused by an exposure to imported green monkeys from Uganda, Africa, where this virus originated from. The monkeys were being used for research purposes and as preparation to make a vaccine for polio at the time. So Marburg is thought to initially be transmitted by the feces of bats, which tourists may come into contact with when visiting caves in Africa. Once transmission between the animal reservoir of the bats to humans is established, Marburg becomes highly contagious and fast spreading among humans. One can contract this disease by direct contact with an infected person, droplets of their bodily fluids such as mucus and blood, and even coming into contact with objects handled by the infected. There are few known outbreaks of the Marburg virus, and those who have contracted the disease in the past were primarily friends and family who came into contact with the infected before diagnosis, as well as hospital staff members who cared for them during their treatment. The incubation period is between 5 to 10 days. So once a person comes into direct contact with the Marburg virus, the first couple of days, they show signs of severe headaches, muscle aches, and high fevers. The virus reproduces very rapidly and begins to produce proteins that weaken the immune system. As the virus progresses, those infected will develop a rash primarily around the chest, back, and stomach. They will also begin feeling nauseous, begin vomiting, and around the 5th day eventually have massive hemorrhaging, where they start to bleed from multiple sites, such as the eyes, ears, mouth, nose, and even in severe cases, even in sites of injections. In the late stages of this disease, those infected begin to go in one of two directions. Those whose bodies have a strong enough immune system to fight against the virus slowly begin their path to recovery and survive, while others, their bodies will continue to shut down, sometimes even go into a coma and eventually die. So what's the difference between Marburg and Ebola? In this picture, you can see that both diseases are mostly found in the same regions of Africa, though they share similar symptoms and derive from the same virus family. Marburg and Ebola are not the same. They are identical in form and structure, however, they stimulate the production of different antibodies in the immune system. Scientists have little knowledge when it comes to both diseases. However, they can be distinguished from one another. One of the few differences is the organization of their glycoprotein genes. They can be differentiated by a blood test called enzyme-linked immunoabsorbent assay, otherwise abbreviated ELISA. The fatality rates are also another factor that separate these diseases. Marburg has a percentage of 23 to 25%, and Ebola has a range between 50 to 90%. So, as you can see, Marburg has a lower fatality rate where only a quarter of the people who come into contact with this virus die, whereas over half the people who contract Ebola die in comparison. Since the initial symptoms of Marburg are similar to diseases such as malaria, yellow fever, and many others, it is difficult to accurately diagnose. Unfortunately, there is currently no known treatment or vaccination for this disease. All doctors can really do is keep the patient hydrated and provide medicine that help aid in the clotting of blood, since the virus tends to attack clotting factors, which lead to that hallmark hemorrhaging. Prevention in the spreading of this disease can be accomplished by early recognition so that those who contracted Marburg can be isolated to prevent infecting others. Thank you guys for listening, and that's it.